Yeah, we heard from Amos Hochstein earlier this week, and he said he's speaking with the heads of all of these big global oil companies pretty frequently. Have you heard from the White House when it comes to what's happening this weekend? Have you heard from anybody at OPEC Plus? Do they check in with you?
I haven't spoken to anybody in the White House recently, but I have spoke to some of the people involved in the OPEC meeting, and I think the decision to go virtual means there's less likelihood of kind of a circus around that meeting. I don't know that they're in a position to predict how this plays out any better than anybody else.
Have you spoken to anyone in the White House this decade?
Yes,
Oh, okay. So when you say recently, you just meant...
I meant Becky was asking about the...
I know,
but
but you have had productive dialogues with the Biden administration about how Chevron conducts its domestic activities. You've had discussions?
We talk about a wide range of activities with people in the administration, and there's concerns about diesel and heating oil supplies to the Northeast, the issues in Ukraine, Russia, LNG markets. We're in contact on a variety.
So the criticism that the Biden administration has not reached out to domestic producers while it coddles foreign dictators, and you're actually involved in the Venezuela situation. Maybe it's faster. Does it come online faster? Is there a reason that the Biden administration would prefer doing business with Venezuela than maybe domestically?
Well, you'd have to ask the Biden administration. Look, we work with the administration on a range of things. Our goal of stable markets and prices that are affordable for the economy is something we share. How we get there, we have sometimes different ideas about.
Okay, when you said, and it does take patience to be the CEO of a major at this point, patience and calmness and everything, and stability. I think that's right. I don't know whether you said that off camera, but I think that's okay to share that you do need patience in this business at this point in time. Is that
it's a long cycle business, and we go through a lot of
different administrations,
short cycle volatility, different politics.
So the question, and I guess you may pun on this too. When you hear the president say, we are going to end drilling 10 days ago, after he's saying we want you to increase production, if you hear the president say we're going to end drilling, do you just take that as, I don't know, as just sort of politicking and you don't really believe it? Or do you say I'm not going to invest any money because why would I do that if 5 years from now we end drilling?
Well, we hear people say a lot of things.
So you discount.
You watch what they do.
Okay.
And we invest through cycles. And, we've received mixed messages, Joe. You've got that right.
Okay.
And, mixed messages don't increase confidence.
Will Chevron be drilling in 2050?
Yes.
My guess is your job is much more complicated than your predecessors, just in terms of, it used to be an issue where you figure, where do I think oil prices are going to go in the next 1 to 5 years? And as a result, how much CapEx do I put in to increasing our ability to drill or not? Seems to me like it's a much more complicated series of factors that you have to kind of do the calculus on these days. It's political risks, it's pressure from your shareholders, it's pressure from ESG stakeholders and the anti-ESG stakeholders. It's just a lot more that goes into it these days.
There are a lot more dynamics. It's a bigger market. It's you've got trade issues, the relationships with countries like China, the changes in OPEC and OPEC Plus. All have created new dynamics. It's an industry that always has, existed at the intersection of engineering and technology, economics and geopolitics. But the specific economic, technical, or political issues continue to evolve.
And you throw in Putin, and do you feel at times where you have to think beyond all this because for the good of the world? I mean, when you look at what's going to happen in Europe potentially this winter after Putin, basically used oil and energy as a weapon. If you had succumbed to all the pressure to cut production over the last couple of years until recently, we wouldn't be supplying Europe. Do you think about that? There are developing countries that need energy for their people to be able to have heat and food. Is that on your shoulders, Mike?
We absolutely think about that, Joe.
So you have to ignore the noise.
We're growing production because the world's growing in terms of demand.
Thank you.
And we have to look at that well into the future and invest to meet that demand. So we're growing this year. We're up in the U.S. 15% in the Permian versus the same period last year, and continuing to invest to meet long-term demand.